Hi everyone, welcome. When you choose me as your real estate agent to represent you in either buying or selling a house or both, you can count on the fact that I will keep you as up to date, as well informed and as well educated as possible, so that when you have to make those life-changing decisions, you'll be able to do so confidently. When you get to the other side of your real estate transaction, I want you to do so with a smile, knowing that you have made the best choices for you and your family. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing just the basics of real estate. I'm calling it Real Estate 101 because I think these are some of the things that people need to know if they're going to buy or sell a home. Okay, so what's our first topic? First topic is fiduciary duty, and that's kind of a tongue twister, but what it has to do with is the relationship between yourself and a real estate agent. And if you hire a real estate agent and a brokerage to represent you, this word is very important to you. So let's define it. Fiduciary duty defined, and I got this from a legal dictionary. So the first thing is person or organization that acts on the behalf of another person to manage assets. In this case, the person or organization would be myself and my brokerage, ERA Doty, and we would be performing acts or working in your behalf to manage your assets. Now, assets usually have to do with money, and in this case, of course it does, because your house, either buying or selling a house, represents a large amount of money. In fact, most people in America, that's their biggest transaction that they ever do. Okay, so what kind of duties are owed to you? The duties of good faith and trust, or honesty and trustworthiness. So this agent acting in your behalf needs to act in a very trustworthy, honest manner. Now the last point is very important because this is actually a legal duty. This is not just what would be great to happen or what they suggest was happen. When you sign an agreement with a real estate agent, they are legally bound to act in your best interest. What kind of duties are fiduciary duties? First one is advise you, guide you, protect you, and negotiate for you. These are the legal duties that an agent owes you. I have put advise and guide together because I think they fit. This has a large amount to do with information. In real estate, information is indeed power. You see, I put information equals wisdom, and that's wisdom for you, so you can make those wise decisions. So what are some of the things that a real estate agent can help you with? First of all, they can tell you about school districts. Now, especially if you're a first-time buyer and you've not really thought about this very much because maybe you don't have children or you do not have children that are old enough to really think about that yet. Well, a real estate agent can provide you with the information on the school districts, or better yet, can show you where to go to get the best information, the most up-to-date information, so you can shift through it and figure out which school district is the best one for your family. Number two, the buying or selling process. Now, when I have a new client, either a house seller or a buyer, I sit down with them, we have a little consultation, and I walk them through the steps of a real estate transaction. For instance, if you're a seller, 99.9% of all sellers, after they receive an offer on their house, have to endure a home inspection. Now, this can be kind of painful because the buyer is going to bring in an outside home inspector. They're going to minutely examine your house from top to bottom, and they're going to tell you all the things that are wrong with it. And then what's even worse is they're going to go down into their pocket. They're going to expect you to go into your pocket and maybe pay for some repairs. So it's very good if you're a seller to know that this is what you're going to be facing, and I try to get my sellers to understand the process and then to know the best way to negotiate through it. The next one is paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. In any real estate transaction, there is just a lot of paperwork. Each time a buyer or a seller has to sign some paperwork, I like to sit down with them. We go through the paperwork step by step. We talk about the advantages of this choice or the disadvantages of those choice. And I do that so that before they sign anything, they thoroughly understand what they're signing. Now the last point of this one is neighborhood stats. Now this is helpful if you're buying or selling, because if you're buying, you want to know what the neighborhood stats are so you don't pay too much for a house. The same thing as if you're selling. If you're selling, you want to know what things are selling for in your neighborhood, how your house fits into that, so that you can get it positioned correctly, so that you price it right at the beginning, so you don't have your house doesn't sit on the market too long. The next thing we want to talk about is the protection. And this has a lot to do with keeping your best interest top of mind. And one of the ways to do this, of course, we've talked about the information and making sure that you're not signing anything that you don't understand, you're not paying too much for a house, that kind of thing. But also it has to do, one of the ways that I help my client is as we're going through this process together, I listen very carefully to what they have to say. I listen when they say, I don't want to pay more than this for the house. Or I listen to my seller say, I have to sell my house quickly because I'm relocating. And then I can make sure that all the way through the process, I'm addressing their things that are most important to them and protecting, making sure that that is, to the best of my ability, that those things are addressed. The other point here is confidential information, and this is very important. When you're working with a real estate agent, you share information about your finances, about your motivations, about why you're selling, why you're buying. And you can rest assured that a real estate agent cannot share any of that information with anyone else. They have to, not only while you are working with them, but even after you have finished the transaction and gone your separate ways. Now the last point is negotiation. As we have gone through this transaction together, you and I have been sharing a lot of knowledge, and we've been honest with each other. And hopefully during this time we have been building up a rapport. And so when we go into all of that knowledge that we have about each other, and the fact that you've seen when I've talked to you that what I have said has turned out to be true, so you are beginning to trust me, or you trust me through the process. When we go to the negotiating table, that is a strength. The fact that I know your wants and your desires, and the fact that you can trust me, is very important. It gives us an up in negotiating. Putting you first is the next point. And what I mean here is that we, as we go through this, we have been establishing rapport, and we've been building a working relationship. So I know you, I know your children, I know what your desires, your wants, and your needs for your children are. And so I understand that, and I've become personally invested in you. I have a desire to also see your needs met and to get what you need for your children. The last point is confidentiality equals power. And of course, we've talked about this, how I'm going to keep everything that you tell me to myself unless you ask me to share it. And because the people that we're negotiating with don't know your motivation, they don't know how much you can actually pay for this house you're offering for, that gives us negotiating power as well. Thank you for joining me today. If you've got any questions about this, please don't hesitate to contact me. And I hope that you will join me as we go through a few more lessons on Real Estate 101. If you liked what you saw and you'd like to see more, please subscribe and hit the little bell next to it so you can get notified of any other videos when I put them up. Thank you.